saved for the last, Pastor Adeboye. Now, someone said, oh, I should at least put Pastor or at least Mr. Adeboye, and I said, okay, fine. I understand that we Africans, respect is a thing in our culture, and it's good to respect people, but I also let that person know that, to be honest, there are probably 2 reasons I would respect someone: age. You see an older person, you gotta respect that person. And the best way I respect people, whether I'm older than them or they're older than me, is if they deserve my respect from something they said or something they did. So I like to give respect to who respect is due. But in terms of the age now, it's probably the only reason I would respect Pastor Adeboye. Pastor Adeboye, if heaven and hell exists, you would be going to hell. And I think personally you don't even believe heaven and hell exists, but even if they do exist, I believe you're going to hell, and I believe you're okay with taking millions of people to hell with you. So you don't have to believe me now, but hopefully from the things I'll be showing you, you try to understand who like a 50% of who the mysterious person behind this big conglomerate church, Redeemed Christian Church of God, is. First of all, Redeemed Christian Church of God is in at least 160 countries, and they have at least 35 to 40,000 churches in total. Let's start with when I first called him an antichrist. Antichrist, I like to say, like against Christ, against Christianity, antichrist, the meaning. And he is, simply because of the things he said with his own mouth. I'll be playing the videos for you. And again, I don't like the fact that he does paganism in his church a lot. There's a lot of paganism going on in a lot of Christian churches, but of course I'm dealing with Redeem right now, so let me stick to Redeem. Adeboye would tell his members.
But after the comb have been blessed, first of all, you are going to comb your head backwards. And you are going to pray that all problems in your life are gone forever.
There's a video, they were combing their hair. He was telling them to come to the front. Was the 7th time combing their hair in church. He was explaining to them why they should be combing their hair and what they should do with the comb and all of that. The other one is the chair, where he blessed a chair in a certain parish, and then people all over Redeem, all over, they were touching chairs as a symbol of touching Adeboye's blessings. So chair, comb, oil, water, all of those things are what the Bible describes as paganistic acts. You're likening God's power to an object, whereas Jesus Christ died to make you one with God. But these pastors always try to bring an object. You cannot go through to God. You got to touch this object. You got to do whatever paganistic acts to get God's blessings. And people like me, I will always be here to tell you guys that you don't need any object, because you're already one with God. Money driven business center, because at the end of the day, you people are calling it the church, but it's a business center. And I'll explain why. Watch this video.
And the proposal was to merge all the churches in North America together, for them to drop their tax-exempt numbers and we come under one tax identity. Many of us rejected the idea. And one of the reasons for the rejection of the idea is that if any church in Idaho or any part of America does something wrong and they want to sue them, they will sue everybody together. One of the other things that we said was that if you want to get a loan to do a building or anything, it has to be central. Which means everything that we used to enjoy as an entity, we have to go to the central before it can be approved. Either we want to apply for immigration, for any of the pastors or instrumentalists or people that work. It's impossible. You have to go once. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a proposal. The issue was brought up again. They laid it to rest then, and we thought it was over. Then this common purpose agreement, 38-page agreement, came forward on the same issue. And part of the things that was written on it was all the churches, we should hand over the buildings and all the assets, but not the liabilities. And we said, who does that? Why would I hand over $10 million of assets and $4 million liability will not belong to me? Is it my father's business? And they said, people said no. Later on, they came up with a 3-page agreement to sign. We showed this agreement to our lawyers, and one of the things the lawyer said is that slavery ended a long time ago. Because some of the things that were there, it's unbelievable that it's a Christian that drew up this. So when I saw the 3-page letter or agreement, I said to myself, how did 38 pages become 3 pages? So what happened to the rest of the 35 pages? At that time, trust had been lost. I went to God in prayer. And for me, it was a no-go for me. I cannot sign the document and lose my soul. Because I felt if I sign that thing, it is out of conscience. And I can't. So I refused to sign. Then a year ago, they wrote us a letter saying, if you don't sign, you are no longer part of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. I said, that's okay. And they said, we'll give you 1 year. We spoke back and forth, but nothing happened. So I knew that they were virtually sending us away as a church. So in February this year, they wrote another letter saying, now that you have not signed for 1 year, you are no longer part of RCCG. So in April this year, I resigned, and just as Baltimore resigned from the organization RCCG North America and RCCG all over the world. So from today, this in fact is our first Sunday as an independent church, not under.
So this pastor is a pastor we redeem in the US. Now, according to him, they've been bringing papers for them to sign, because if you want to open a redeemed church now, you can go to their Bible school, buy all the books that indoctrinate you on how to fear Adeboye and how to redeem ministry alive. But you use your money, you start up a church. I use my money, I start up a church here for redeem. I buy this chair, I buy my mics, I buy my speakers. I use my money to bring fake people to do fake miracles, arranging miracles. I use my money to just evangelize. Now I have like 1,000 persons in my church that I started, but they can just remove you anytime and take this building because it's a redeemed building. It's not your building, even if you used money to renovate. Or let's look at the case of Ilu Yomade now. Big building, I saw it personally a while back. I was astonished. Is this a church? Like, wow, big, beautiful building. So the Ilu Yomade is this lady, Auntie Adoni, whose husband was a former pastor in a smaller branch. So the Ilu Yomades were the ones who, after her husband died, they are the ones who just discard, like, go, right? They probably thought it would never happen to them. But one thing with all these business centers is, at the end of the day, it's a family business. So even if you're a man who has labored and has built the sweetest church looking, have the biggest members in your church, at the end of the day, you're just a pastor under Adeboye. He decides, again, it's their building, so they decide for however long they want to keep you as a pastor there. So probably because Ilu Yomade was a big name, they have people like the late Herbert Wigwe in their church and all of that. They probably had a problem with just discarding them. But the perfect opportunity presented itself with the whole Herbert Wigwe's death and the wife still going ahead with her birthday celebrations. Trust me, they didn't let her go, and of course they took them away from the church. Probably the biggest shocker the Ilu Yomades ever got in their life. They probably thought they'd never leave, or they would never be asked to leave the redeem. But anyways, they did. Someone else is a pastor in that church today. At the end of the day, that building is a redeemed building. So basically, it's a business enterprise. That pastor in the video tried to say they were trying to get them to sign so many things, just so many fraudulent things. He refused. At the end of the day, he said he's no longer, like, he started the church with redeem branch, but he was telling his members that starting from today is their first service as not a redeem branch, because he didn't want to let go of the properties. I mean, he's in the US. I don't know how easy it is to set up a church in the US, but he didn't want to let go of the properties, and the church was like, oh, you either sign this or we're no longer going to give you the redeem logo and all of that. So he decided to go. So yeah, money driven business. Other pastors have since come out to try to explain how, we did this with our money, this, but then it belongs to the church. We did it. People still don't get that. It's a business center. I don't really know much about Sunday Bakare or his personality or vouching for him anyway, but I agree with him when he said this.
No, my own God is different. He does not supply anybody's needs for them to contribute it into the pockets of robbers and marauders. And it's a sin. It is sin to keep quiet and allow God's supplies to go to waste. Such prayers I most scream for their complicity. And I'm talking of the men, call out, whatever you call them. I'm talking of church leaders. It is most scream for their complicity in the whole affair of sanctification of the rod of political power, which has been turned to which of Rehoboam, and which the flock of God, the people of our nation, have been endlessly and relentlessly beaten. The hottest part of hell is reserved for preachers who take advantage of the people of God. In 1 Kings chapter number 4, please, man, because this is the root of our problem. All general overseers must go to prison. I am not joking. I said so in the open many years ago during the convention of Mike Okongo. I said, lock Adeboye up, lock Hui up, lock Orisaka up, lock me up also. By the time we finish, Nigeria will change. I have a reason for saying so. In 1 Kings chapter 4, I know I'll be quoted tomorrow, I'm ready for their war. If the revolution does not begin in the church, it cannot spread. If it does not begin in the mosque, it cannot spread. I am telling you.
Yes, because a lot of fraudulent, a lot of unhuman things go on, and I think those men definitely should be behind bars. All of them. Political movements, which is very big. If you ask, you have to understand that, first of all, the person we're talking about here is a professor of mathematics. He's a professor of whatever. So this is not a dumb, illiterate person. If you really listen to Pastor Adeboye and you're a smart person, you cannot help but feel like he insults your intelligence. If you're not a smart person, you may not get what I'm saying, but if you're a smart person and you're listening to either him preaching or him saying a lot of things, you cannot help but feel like he's just outrightly insulting your intelligence, because he does it so subtly that you yourself, if you want to, you just be, but he knows what he's doing. He's just trying to insult your intelligence. So he doesn't associate with any political this, and at least that's what resources will tell you. He prays for all political, but at the end of the day, if you really look at the movement, I keep saying this is like the best way to catch him politically, because this was the one that he couldn't really exclude himself much. In the case of 2015, I always try to relate it with you. People are talking about Tinubu today, but we all know that they've been friends for a very long time now. So if Tinubu himself will tell you he's the one that brought Buhari into power, like now it's his turn, right? But back then he was one of the supporting people that brought Buhari into power. So Buhari's running mate, or I heard at one point it was supposed to be Tunde Bakari, but it was now Osibanjo. Osibanjo is a senior pastor in Redeem before he became the vice president of Nigeria. Now this is it. This is what having millions, I think 6 million people under you, this is what it does for you if you're Adeboye. Now I have a pastor who looks promising. He looks like he's a loyal person. He wouldn't just discard him. He looks like someone that is my guy, basically, like my boy, my pastor under me. Again, I asked this: what was the major reasons a lot of Christians, let me not even say Christians now, what was the major reason a lot of Redeemed people, again in their millions, voted for Buhari that time? It was because his running mate was not just a Christian, his running mate was a pastor. Now his running mate was a pastor in Redeemed Church, and Adeboye himself blessed to see that. So you people really have to understand that having millions of people under you makes you a valuable tool when election is coming, like in the whole politics world. And he himself does not shy away from telling you things like this.
Of the former presidency, we happen to be friends. One day we were together, we were having some fun, and just popped the question: so, who is the more powerful out of the two of us? I said, me, of course.
Presidents to be in Adeboye's parlor, Adeboye being and they are just asking him like, oh, between me and you, who's more powerful? That should tell you, how can a president, and in his word, president, how can a sitting president ask a pastor, a general overseer, between me and you, who's powerful? So people need to understand that means that president acknowledges that this man is powerful, basically, because again, you have millions of people who see you as God. You can tell those people, vote. You don't even have to say vote this person. You can just bring the person to your church and bless them before the election, or just associating with them, even if you don't have to endorse them. Just again, remove yourself, but at the end of the day, your influence is there, basically. So smart man.
Between 10 million naira, for you to choose 10 million naira, or let Pastor Adeboye touch you for head, pray for you, which one will you choose?
A mirror as God. Which one is now? As I said before.
Okay.
In my own view.
Okay.
I meditate. Let him bless me.
Okay, let Pastor Adeboye bless you.
Exactly.
So you reject 10 million
because
naira.
his blessing
is more than 10 million.
beyond more than that.
10 million. Okay.
And it will be something that will take you ahead of him now.
Okay. Now, do you think Pastor Adeboye will choose you over 10 million?
It depends on his choice.
Okay, depends on his choice.
Yeah.
He does that a lot. So yeah, Buhari won. Buhari did this time. Now his main bestie, the main person, is the president now. He's not talking about the whole bad governance. He's not saying shit. So if they tried to remove Jonathan and they did, Chibok girls, Boko Haram, security, lots of things. He did the whole protest. Oh, stop killing people. Why is it now that he's silent? I hope people can be understanding a few questions that you've been asking. His political influence in this country goes back to a long time ago, a very long time ago. And basically, you just do the research yourself, try to piece together. People say he's APC. I don't want, he himself will tell you, oh, he doesn't have any party, he prays for all parties. But again, footprints, your footprints leave a message, and your footprints are saying you're definitely a political person, and from your footprints, we can kind of guess what political place you support.